After over 200 days of no info on this title, excluding a couple of release date leaks, we finally got some more news on Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Oh, did I say some? I meant a lot. Nintendo Shadow dropped a Nintendo Direct Mini today, and the first about 5 minutes or so focused entirely on Xenoblade DE with both a new trailer and gameplay overview. But that's not all, because we've got even more from Nintendo's American and Japanese websites from screenshots. So, let's go ahead and analyze, as well as discuss the new trailer, and I'll give my thoughts as per the usual. So, let's mosey. We're going to start with the trailer here, as there's quite a bit to unpack in both gameplay and story elements. Let's go. We start off here with an absolutely gorgeous recreation of the battle between Bionis and Mechonis. Not much to say here other than that I like how they kept the detail of the Telethia around Bionis. But this shot is nothing more than gorgeous and is an amazing recreation of that original scene. We get the shots of the Bionis and Mechonis years after the battle, as Shulk refers to their bodies as lifeless corpses. The monologue from Shulk is also, yes, exactly the same. We get our first look at the Mechon invasion on Colony 9 as Shulk, Ryan, and Fiora watch from outside of Tephra Cave. We hear Eggo give a speech for a bit about commencing the attack on Bionis, as the Mechon give destruction to Colony 9, killing some of the Homs there too. We get a look at the Monado too. I believe this is the scene in the original where Shulk is talking with Dixon about the Monado's powers and the multi-layered glass. This time though, it actually has a nice visual upgrade to it. We then see Shulk wielding the Monado for the first time on the bridge near Dunman's house, and we also get our first look at Dunman himself and a better look at Ryan. Both look really goddamn good at HD, especially Dunman. These models look great. Also, the blood Dunman coughs up from using the Monado has been significantly reduced from the original. I assume they wanted to make it a bit more realistic. We then get Shulk charging in the Mechon and his first vision. The visions look pretty good here and pretty faithful to the original. This scene is just great stuff all around though, and put a huge smile on my face when I was watching. Then again, the whole trailer did. We then get Shulk fighting off the Mechon's tendrils on Bionis' leg on the way to Colony 6, this being the scene where he gets Monado's speed. We then get our first look at Sharla. She looks great, and her design hasn't really been changed either. Sharla already had a pretty great design in my opinion, so I'm happy to see it's been relatively unchanged. Though I do want to point out something here with Sharla without going on for too long, and that's skin tone. For some reason, Sharla is actually much lighter than she is in both the original and in the original game's artwork. I don't think this is Monolith Soft trying to do anything, I think it might have just been a bit of an oversight. But it's something I felt like worth pointing out because some people have as well. But still, aside from that, she looks really great. We then get some gameplay. First up, Bionis' leg. Of course, it looks breathtaking, but there are a couple things to mention. One, you can see an Ardent to the right there, and you can see an Itemore behind it. Now, it's not been confirmed whether or not they're actually going to work like Xenoblade 1 or Xenoblade 2. I would assume in the first game, which I have no real issues with. My only hope is that the actual item orbs are going to be easier to reset here than they were in the original, where you'd have to save and then reset the game in order to respawn them. We get a small glimpse of Shulk wearing the blue version of his default armor, Sharla, who's wearing the bandana armor piece, and Ryan wearing some different armor, heading into the Nopon village. Not much to point out here. We then get a very small glimpse of the nighttime tutorial march along with the trio, and holy shit, it's amazing. We'll have some more on this later, but god, it's just breathtaking looking. God, I love how this game looks. You also can see one of the unique monsters in this area, the Sunlight Shavaic. This also brings up a quick question, which is, I wonder how unique monsters are going to be done in DE. In Xenoblade Chronicles 1, if you fought them, you had to reset your game to get them to respawn, sometimes multiple times. In Xenoblade Chronicles 2 though, when you defeated a unique monster, they would drop a tombstone where you could simply summon and fight them again. I wonder if that's how they're going to work here. We then have the trio running along the bridge to get to Magna Forest. They somehow made this bridge that didn't even look sturdy into a bridge that looks less sturdy. Thank you, Monolith. But jokes aside, Magna Falls looks beautiful. We then have the trio running along Aerith Sea, and yeah, I think you get the gist of it at this point. It looks beautiful. We also have a small tease with the Crabble enemies that are on the beaches. We then are back to the story, with the pre-boss battle cutscene with Zord and the other Mechon. Which, side note, he looks pretty good here. The Mechon all look really good. We then have the trio alongside a newly revealed Melia at Valak Mountain with the faceplate Mechons surround them. We'll get more of Melia in a bit, don't you worry. And now, Alvis. Now, of course, yeah, he looks great. This is also very late game content, I believe. But let's talk about that necklace. Recognize it? If you're a fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, then you definitely do. That is a core crystal. Spoilers for Xenoblade 2 coming up. Also, to correctly get this info down, this info comes from the Xenoblade Wiki, which I'll be leaving a link to down below. In Xenoblade 2, there were 3 biocomputers that were made up in the Trinity processor, a supercomputer. When Professor Class activated the conduit, one of the biocomputers known as Ontos created a space-time transition effect, and Ontos disappeared into another dimension. The other two biocomputers, Numa and Logos, ended up becoming the blades Pyra and Mithra, as well as Malos. There's been theories for close to 3 years now on who Ontos is, and an easy theory was Alvis. And now, it's officially been confirmed with our core crystal. Alvis is Ontos, which confirms the multitude of theories over the years and is a huge revelation for Xenoblade 2's story. It's honestly pretty awesome. Okay, back to the rest of the trailer now. We get Melia's father, Soria and Antiqua calling out to her, this being the scene on Prison Island. We then get a first look at Melia and... wow, she looks amazing. She's my personal favorite glow up so far. This is also during Soria and Antiqua's death scene, if you were wondering. We then have the scene of the attack on Colony 9 with Fiora charging a metal face with a mobile artillery. Gotta say, I love how much more Colony 9 looks like an actual war zone now when the Mechon invade. Buildings on fire, looks like smoke is all over the place. It looks great now, especially at nighttime. Also, if you want to see this full scene in particular, link down below, though again, heavy spoilers if you haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles before. We then have some pretty big spoiler stuff in here with Mechonis awakening and charging his fist at the Hyantia and Nopon ships. This is when the group falls from Mechonis to the Fallen Arm in the original. The sunset just makes this scene look amazing. We then have Shulk awakening to the power of the Monado 2 after the death of Zanza. Then, we got some big stuff. Metalface carrying the body of Seven, a slight glimpse of Silverface, and Egil's faced Mechon. All looking just amazing. Shulk then awakens to the power of the Monado 2. We then get a release date, May 29th, 2020. My previous 2 videos discussing possible leak dates were real. May 29th is when the game is releasing. Finally. But we're not done here just yet. We got some more, and by more, I mean pretty big stuff. In the last trailer, it was teased that Biona's shoulder, a cut area from the original game, was going to be added into DE with new armor for at least Shulk and Melia, and what we thought at the time was a redesign of the Monado 2. Turns out this wasn't totally wrong, but it's much more than at least I thought it was. We see Shulk and Melia in their brand new designs, standing on a crashed Alchemoth transport ship. As the fog clears, we get the logo, Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected, a new epilogue for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition starring Shulk and Melia. Not DLC either, this is a full-on epilogue and you can even play it without playing the base story first. This is awesome. As the camera pans around to the beautiful landscapes that Biona's shoulder, along with the Telethia flying by, Shulk says in brand new voice work by Adam Howden, he says, "If the capital is on the shoulder, there are people there. I thought you want to go." Talking to Melia, as the Telethia flies around the gorgeous landscapes. It's incredible to me that this area is even happening to begin with, and I couldn't help but stop smiling during this bit. It's amazing. But we see some sort of gate open up near Alchemoth, now residing on the shoulder, with some lightning zapping out of the portal. Shulk and Melia, along with 2 new Nopon characters, get to the capital. An enemy is lying there, though I can't really tell what the enemy is. Apologies. The portal gets bigger, and the trailer ends. In terms of where the story takes place, it takes place after the main story of Xenoblade Chronicles. So, I recommend that you beat the game first before playing this if it's your first time. The presenter comes on and we get Shulk and Ryan entering Biona's leg for the first time. With ZR, you can bring with the story. You can zoom in with the R stick and slide with the D-pad? I would assume this is camera stuff and they're holding something like ZL to change the zoom level and such. We have Dunban wearing the eye patch armor piece, Shulk and Melia running through Magna Forest, and the controls are now a little bit different. L and R to target as per the usual, move the camera with ZL, and a new feature, auto run, tied to up on the D-pad. I would assume ZL being tied to move camera means moving around the zoom level and such. There's also Shulk, Charlotte, and our first look at Ricky running through Sword Valley while the sunset rolls in. Oh, and you notice that the map has an option to click in L now? We'll get to that later. We then have Shulk, Ryan, and Charlotte running through Valak Mountain. Oh, please have the wonky ice physics. We also get the prettiest shit in all of video games and you can't convince me otherwise. Also Shulk, Melia, and Ricky with some different armor as they run along the beaches of Nighttime Air at Sea. Then, the battle system. One of the worries I had for DE was that they might have changed the battle system from the original, but it's the same, but now at least visually, much better. The HUD is now a lot less cramped and has a bit of a bubblier look to it. Now, you see that at the top of there, above the enemy's health bar? That is a timer for break. In Xenoblade 1, if you inflicted break, topple, or daze, there was no timer. You just had to guess whenever they were going to go away. In Xenoblade 2, though, this was changed, though I don't remember if this was a thing for X. But yes, you can now see a timer for those arts, which is a massive and awesome change from the original. Shulk also has Shaker Edge, Shadow Eye, Slit Edge, Backslash, Light Heal, Stream Edge, Air Slash, and Battle Soul as his arts. The UI in general for the monster's health is also much more like Xenoblade 2. We then get the main menu, which has a complete overhaul. Wow. You still have the characters doing their original animations, but now it's in a completely different look. Kinda reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 3, honestly. There's also the other party members, and you can see their skill trees. The options are change equipment, party, skill trees, arts, area maps, change time, quest log, affinity chart, and collectibles. Which I also hope the game has a much larger inventory space. I love the look of this UI. It's not as mechanical looking as the original, but it's a lot cleaner. The equipment screen has also been updated. Not too much to mention here aside from a couple of things. One, the UI has been changed dramatically, but I love how it looks. Like I said, it just looks a lot cleaner. Secondly, that little thing down there called appearance. Yes, you're going to be able to change your character's appearance without affecting their stats in DE. So if you want Naked Dunban with good stats, go right ahead. The option's there. They also revealed that some of the music has actually been re-recorded, like how Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 Final Mix updated the soundtracks, Xenoblade DE is doing the same. If you want to hear samples of Engage the Enemy and Bionis Leg, link down below. They sound great. This shot is also Shulk jumping off of the secret area in Magna Forest to the water below. Also, the jumping animation has been updated a little bit, with Shulk now flailing his arms and legs instead of just him being frozen. Next up, we got some more details on Future Connected. We have the cutscene here of Shulk and Melia on the transport ship before it gets fired up by a laser in Alchemoth. This story will, quote, cap off the main game. Melia tells Shulk that he makes it sound very simple and to remember they're still very much in the dark here. Shulk then says it's a good thing he came prepared, they'll probably be needing this. I would assume that's a replica Monado since it wouldn't make much sense that that's the real one since it became the true Monado during the fight with Zanza and after that, went away. Side note, while we do hear Adam Howden as Shulk speak, we don't hear Melia speak. Let's talk about that. Melia's VA, Jenna Coleman, has become a fairly high-in-demand actress since the game's release in 2012. There's been a lot of speculation that she may not return as Melia for DE. Now, while we do hear her voice in the trailer for the base Xenoblade Chronicles story, we don't hear. My theory is this. Jenna Coleman's voice for Melia will remain in the base story, but for Future Connected, it may be a new VA as Jenna Coleman may not return to reprise the role. It isn't the end of the world personally, but nothing's been really confirmed. We'll have to wait and see. Also, side note, these designs are great. The game launches on May 29th and has a version that comes with the game and a 250-page art book. Sadly though, the West got shafted. Japan is getting the game, a steelbook, and a sound selection CD. Europe is getting everything but the kitchen sink. The game, a steelbook, a vinyl, a poster, a sound selection code, and the art book. This seems a little odd to be honest, and from what I can tell has gotten a little bit of backlash, and I feel honestly understandably so. But that's all from the trailer. However, we're not done just yet. On the Japanese and American Xenoblade DE websites, there's some more screenshots that I'd like to go over. We'll look over the new ones in particular. First one here is of the group fighting Metalface. Nothing too crazy here aside from Colony 9 looking scary as hell, and Metalface looking insanely good. Next up is a big one. Remember how I mentioned earlier there was an option to click L in for the minimap? Boom, you can now view the minimap in full, and it looks really good. This is in Satoral Marsh. This is great and a huge improvement from the original that a lot of people had requested from the original game. We then have Shulk, Charlotte, and Ryan fighting off the Mechon M71. Nothing too crazy here either. This part with Metalface is something interesting though. See that exclamation point and backslash? This is seemingly an indicator telling the player that they're in a spot to deal some critical damage, though Shulk isn't at the back, so it's a little bit odd. But yeah, that's brand new. We have another look at the party screen, and Dunban looks great. We then have Shulk and Ryan running along Bionis Leg, and the indicators in the back show that these are monsters they need to hunt for a side quest, one you can accept when you first walk into Bionis Leg. There's a couple of Japanese screenshots here showing Shulk, Ryan, and Ricky fighting off some X. There's also an exclamation point above Air Slash. We have another look at the party menu, now with Ricky. Ooh. Here's an image of what Japan is getting in their collector's editions. I'm not jealous at all. Oh, and here's a preview of the art book. I'm in love with this new Shulk design, but Shulk in swim gear is so funny looking to me. There's also this promotional image of Future Connected. There's not much to mention here except for Melia's weapon. Kinda looks like a Monado, doesn't it? There is a ton of screenshots here from the Japanese website, but I'm just gonna let you guys view these yourself since there's a lot of them. Here we go. And finally, after all that, that's everything. This game, God, what can I say that I haven't already? I love it. It looks amazing. It looks incredible. It's only a few months away, and it's mind-blowing to me the fact that it's actually happening. If you guys don't know, this is my favorite game of all time, and the fact that this is happening makes me kind of just choke up every time I look at the trailer. I can wait for May 29th. Oh yeah, sorry Last of Us. But after all of that, what are your guys' thoughts on this info? Let me know down below. Thank you all very much for watching, have a great night, and signing off. Peace out, soldiers.